Hello, I'm your host, Paul Young, and with me is parent education expert Stephanie Risley. Welcome to another segment of Surviving the Teen Years.
Thanks, Paul. The early teenage years are often stressful for both adolescents and their parents. Teens may be confused about the physical and emotional changes they experience, while at the same time their parents might be facing their own midlife crisis. Or sometimes parents simply worry about getting older when they compare their energy or lack of it to their child's youth and vitality.
And parents often worry that their kids will experience violence and negative peer pressure, become addicted to drugs, drop out of school, develop eating disorders, or even become suicidal in response to the many pressures and stresses they may face.
You're right, parents do worry, but most young people function well through their teenage years and go on to become contributing members of society. In this series of 10 videos, we will examine teenage behavior and help parents identify the issues that require serious intervention. We will look at ways that parents can help their children grow into healthy adults.
Thank you, Stephanie. Today's program looks at how divorce affects adolescents. First, let's watch a scene between Elena and her 15-year-old stepdaughter, Mary.
Ah, that's it. That's a good boy. Oh, you bought Ruben another new outfit? Like he doesn't have enough clothes. Crystal, look who's finally home. Your mommy. You wore that to school? No, I didn't. I'm going out. You got a problem with that, Elena?
Didn't we have a discussion just last week? When you're not at school, you're responsible for Crystal. I've taken care of your baby all day. Now it's your turn. You're not going out. It's final.
Try and stop me. You can't tell me what to do. You're not my mother.
If I were your mother, I wouldn't let you go around looking like a Go change your clothes and take care of your baby. She needs you.
All you care about are your own two kids. Not about me, Crystal, or Anna.
Don't you dare yell at me. When's the last time you did anything helpful around here? Juan's younger than you and does twice as much work as you.
You tell me just one more time how smart and wonderful your precious Juan is, I think I'll puke.
You're just jealous because he's a good boy, he gets good grades, he studies hard, something you've never bothered to do.
You're always on my case. You're such a witch.
What did you...
Don't you touch her.
See what you married, Daddy? I told you how she is when you're not here.
It's okay, baby.
Miguel, did you hear what she called you? Are you deaf?
That's no excuse. I really think you were going to hit her.
You know what? The two of you, forget it. I'm not going to take any more of this.
Elena, Miguel, and Mary have agreed to join us today to discuss what happened. Please welcome them to the program. Welcome to the show. Before we start with you, let's talk about what went wrong. How did Elena's behavior affect the situation?
I think she started it. Elena was really right away, you know, with all that, you're finally home stuff.
What? Elena was doing Mary a big favor by watching Crystal in the first place. I mean, Mary was late. I think she should just be grateful to Elena for watching her child.
Grateful? Get serious. I mean, this is about the way that Elena treats Mary. It's obvious that Elena just favors her own kids.
Yeah, she buys stuff for Ruben. And look what she said about Juan. And, you know, I mean, that's why Mary's so mad to begin with.
Besides which, Elena called Mary a
Oh, please, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck.
Quack, quack.
And what else did she look like in that outfit? I mean, come on. The girl's 15 years old and has a little child. Anybody want to do the math on that one?
Okay, let's slow down here and focus on one of the issues you've brought up. Elena's treatment of her own child versus her treatment of Crystal. But before we go any farther, let's get our experts' perspective on this.
Well, often conflict arises when two already established families merge or blend. Both Elena and Miguel came into the marriage with two children of their own, and then together they had Ruben, right?
Right, but I don't favor my own kids.
Oh, yes you do too.
You never try to see this from anyone else's perspective.
There is often jealousy over the stepchildren and the perception, true or not, that each parent is favoring his or her own child. Also, there's bound to be some jealousy when a new member of the family arrives. It sometimes seems to the other siblings that the child of this new union will get more love and will be better treated.
I'm not jealous, but she buys everything for Ruben and Juan, nothing for us.
That's not true. The outfit that Ruben was wearing was one that one of my older boys had grown out of.
Adjusting to a blended family can bring out strong emotions and perceptions which must be confronted. Mary, let me ask you a question. How did you feel when your dad married Elena?
Left out mostly. They were so lovey-dovey all the time. It made me sick to watch them. I mean, come on.
Many times children feel displaced when the parent remarries. They may look for love in other places or make the new spouse a rival for affection. Mary, how did you feel when Reuben was born?
I don't remember. But I got pregnant right after that, so what does it matter?
Wait a minute. You think... I never thought about that. You think Mary got pregnant to get back at us? Sort of like revenge because we got married and had a baby?
Revenge is too strong a word. Sometimes teenage girls act out sexually when they're mad or when they need attention. But as one of our audience members suggested, Mary's pregnancy seems to be less than a coincidence in this instance.
Well, in a way, I've always felt kind of guilty about Mary.
You do? Why?
Well, when we got married, I knew she was mad at us and jealous of me.
Again, how could I be jealous of you?
Mary, let Elena finish her line, please.
And when I got pregnant, soon after we got married, we had to deal with my kids, your kids, and the new baby. I never really had a chance to get to know her. Now she always seems so angry at me. I feel at a loss. What can I do?
I think if you stopped comparing Mary with your son, I don't know about Mary, but it makes me mad when my mom does that with me.
Yes.
How about just being nicer to Mary?
The way I see it, Mary should be nicer to Elena. She has a real attitude.
You know, we're missing the point here. I mean, who's the adult and who's the teenager? Okay, Mary did come in with an attitude, but that doesn't mean Elena had to react
You're
to it.
right, but she's always so rude to me. I mean, I was brought up to respect my parents. What am I supposed to do? Just take it?
Not at all. Letting Mary be rude does not help either of you. She needs to understand that there are appropriate ways of behaving. So when you felt she was rude to you, you needed to express your anger at her specific behavior directly and immediately. Do you see what I mean?
What do I say? Mary, stop being rude to me?
No. For example, say, Mary, it hurts my feelings and makes me mad when you speak to me that way. I need you to treat me with respect. That lets her know exactly what she's done wrong and how she can make it better.
So just by ignoring how she acts and what she says, by responding with a sarcastic comment like, "You're finally home," adds to Mary's anger?
Absolutely. It escalated the situation. Also, another effective technique is to reflect back what Mary wants. I know you'd rather go out with your friends, Mary, but you can't. Your baby needs some time with you now. Simple, direct, and to the point.
But what about the whole thing? I mean, that was really uncool. Elena should probably be more respectful.
I know the way Mary dresses is a style that she likes, but I don't think it's very flattering. Maybe I should have ignored the way she was dressed, but I still am not clear on how to deal with her jealousy. It's very frustrating. I mean, I feel at a loss.
Well, it's important to bring it out in the open and listen to her feelings without being judgmental. This doesn't mean you have to agree with her. She's entitled to own her own feelings. What you want is to have her express herself with respect. But remember, you're dealing with a teenager who would have powerful emotions under any circumstances.
But there's a lot of jealousy here. There's jealousy for the marriage. There's jealousy for the kids. Now there's jealousy for Reuben. What do you do?
Any ideas on what to do?
Well, from where I'm sitting, the jealousy between Mary and Elena wasn't helped much by what Miguel did. But I think Mary provoked the whole incident by just trying to make Elena look bad in front of Miguel.
He's right. It sounds like the classic divide and conquer strategy. Kids use it all the time. You know, I think Miguel just needs to let Mary know how much he loves her, even though he married Elena.
Wait, I love them both. I just get overwhelmed. I don't know what to do sometimes. When they get so mad at each other like that, I don't know what to do. I don't even want to come home. Sometimes I'd rather stay and work late.
Oh, that's great. Make me feel even more abandoned by spending more time at work is your way of dealing with this?
This is a normal response, Miguel. But do you see how it affects your family?
Yes, but I hate being torn between them.
Well, what you and Elena must learn to do is to present a united front as a couple. If at all possible, when one parent is involved in disciplining or in conflict with a child, the other parent should stay out of it, except to back the other up. If that's not possible, your disagreement should be done in private. Otherwise, the teen can play one parent off against the other and manipulate you both.
But she was going to hit Mary.
Has Elena ever hit Mary before?
No.
Well, then, so it looked as if she raised her hand, but unless it actually happens, you have to trust that Elena can control her actions.
I was so angry, I felt the urge to hit her, but I controlled myself because I would never hurt Mary deliberately. But it seems that she's always angry and we're always fighting. I feel at a loss. It's frustrating.
I know. And you need perspective. Think of arguing as an adolescent's job. Don't forget, they need to define who they are as individuals, and one way to do that is through conflict and testing the limits. Unfortunately, that usually means arguing with parents and other authority figures. The art of parenting lies in recognizing this dynamic and essentially doing some damage control. Limit the conflict to what is useful and necessary.
But wasn't the original issue here babysitting?
Yes, it is. If you were Mary's parents, how would you handle that one problem?
I'd just leave her alone, tell her to do it herself. I mean, Elena shouldn't have to babysit for Mary. She should refuse it. I mean, the daughter, that's her daughter, and that's her responsibility. Let her go off on her own and see what the real world's like.
Take responsibility, right?
That kind of threat never works.
Why should Elena have to do all the babysitting? I mean, why can't Miguel take over? I mean, he is the grandfather.
Miguel, what do you think about that? Are you willing to babysit little Crystal?
Yes, I guess so.
I'm still feeling really concerned about Mary. What could she have done?
Are there any other ideas?
She could start off by asking for things as opposed to making demands.
Yeah, but I think she was expecting a no. I know I go in real strong if that's what I'm expecting, and I think that's what Mary did.
You might be right. Mary needs to learn to state her needs more clearly.
Wait a minute, it's not the Brady Bunch.
You're absolutely right about that. Not everyone lives in a big, happy family. But we can all learn skills that will help us cope with parenting teenagers in a complicated world.
Now, let's review some of the interesting things we've talked about so far.
Number 1, try to express anger directly and immediately. Focus on the behavior rather than on the character of the teen. Number 2, try not to compare children with one another. Number 3, acknowledge the teenager's feelings and desires, but be firm and reasonable about setting limits. Number 4, when one parent is involved in a conflict, the other parent should stay out of it, except to back him or her up. Only disagree in private. Number 5, conflicts cannot be avoided, but try to limit the conflict to what is useful and necessary.
So keeping all that in mind, would you like another chance to relive that day?
I sure would.
Me too.
I don't care. Oh, well, sure. Oh, come on, sweetheart. That's a good boy. You bought Ruben another new outfit?
No, it's one of Alex's hand-me-downs. Crystal, look who's home, your mommy.
Hi, Crystal.
Did you have a good day at school, honey?
No, school sucks. I'm out of here. I gotta go see some friends.
Wait, Mary, I know you want to go out, but you can't. Crystal needs you. She misses you. She wants to spend some time with you.
That's not fair. You can't tell me what to do. You're not my mother. You're such a witch.
Look, I know you're upset right now, and I'm upset too, but that does not change the issue. Crystal is your responsibility. It seems like you don't even want the responsibility of a child.
Daddy, why did you marry her? She's so mean and selfish. I hate her.
You don't have to like her. That's your decision. But you will treat Elena with respect. Understand, young lady?
Give me a break.
Mary, didn't you agree that it's your responsibility to take care of your child?
Yeah, but Daddy, don't I get any time off?
I know it's hard being a parent, especially when you're so young, but you chose to have Crystal.
I am here to help if I'm able, but Crystal is your baby, and she's your responsibility. It's one that you chose, so let's do the best we can.
Yeah, okay. But Daddy, later could you maybe babysit for me? I just need some time to go out with my friends.
Okay, but just for a couple of hours, say from 7 to 9.
Thanks, Daddy. Crystal?
So how does that feel?
Much better for me. It felt better to talk to Mary directly about Ruben's jumper and to stand firm and not lose my temper when she called me a witch.
I'm glad I'm not in the middle. They both know I love them, and that's better for all of us.
And how about you, Mary?
It was okay, I guess.
Don't expect miracles when dealing with your teenagers. The important thing to recognize is that this process is ongoing. The point is, we can take steps to make everyone feel better.
Now let's watch another family and see how they cope with divorce. Think about how you would handle this next situation.
Hey, Mom. Hey, guys. So where did your dad end up taking you?
Disneyland. Yeah, we had a great time. Nobody was there, so we went on every ride. It was so cool.
Well, isn't that nice when he's 3 weeks behind with his child support? Did just the three of you go? Amy, did you hear me? Did you and Roger go alone with your dad?
Nope.
So who else went? Uncle Arthur?
No, Mom. Some lady went with us.
Some lady? Well, what's her name?
Kimberly, she was real nice.
He's got a new girlfriend? Well, what happened to, what's her name? Donna. Well, no wonder he never has enough money to send us.
Mom, Dad's great. Look at all this neat stuff. And see, he got me some new Nikes, too.
You can tell your father for me that he better pay me on time next month or I won't let you guys go with him.
Hey, Mom, chill. I mean, if you got yourself a boyfriend, you'd be in a better mood.
Don't talk to me like that, young lady. Apologize this second.
Well, I'm so sorry. Sorry that you're my mother.
Judy, Amy, and Roger have agreed to join us today to discuss what happened and to work with our expert to find constructive solutions to the problem. Please welcome this family to our program. Looks like a pretty tense situation. Any thoughts on what just happened?
Yeah, the same thing happens at my house all the time. Whenever my dad brings home a new girlfriend, my mom gets really mad. It makes her jealous.
I don't think she was jealous. I think Judy was just mad over all the money he spent.
She has a right to be mad. He's behind his child support payments, but yet he takes Roger and Amy to Disneyland and buys them all kinds of stuff. You know, that's not fair. He's behind his child support, but yet he likes to play Santa Claus.
Well, that's what he wants him to think. My dad used to play that kind of game all the time, and it used to drive my mom nuts.
So, jealousy and anger. What else do we have?
Yeah, I didn't like it when Judy told Roger to tell his father that if the father didn't pay the child support on time, she wasn't going to let Amy and Roger go with him. That's blackmail, and I think that's horrible.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it's not fair to put the boy in between the two parents like that. He shouldn't have to make that decision.
Yeah, but do you think it's right that he spends all that money when he's behind his child support payments? Doesn't make any sense to me.
Wait a minute. I don't care if he's pissed. I think Judy has to take the responsibility between the two children, make sure they're not involved. I mean, it's between her and her ex-husband, and that's it, period.
Yeah, I wish my mom had kept me out of her divorce stuff. She would always say stuff about my dad, and, you know, it made me feel real creepy. You know, one minute she's my best friend, but, you know, my dad's still my dad.
I know what you mean, because my dad used to say all kinds of mean stuff about my mom, but my mom never said anything bad about my dad. And now I realize that she's the better person.
Interesting point. Expert, do we have any suggestions?
One of the most difficult aspects of divorce for teenagers is being caught in the middle. The main rule for parents is not to pull their children into battle.
But it really makes me so angry when they come home after seeing their father. Because they're always cranky because he lets them stay up too late and feeds them nothing but junk food. And then he takes them to places I can't afford and spends all that money on them. It makes me look cheap and mean. I'm the one who always has to say no. I'm the one who has to say, I can't afford it, and I can't afford it because their father never sends the child support on time.
Well, unfortunately, some fathers become weekend Santa Clauses out of guilt. There's nothing you can do about it. The main transition for a teenager is to pull away from their parents and establish a sense of their own independence. If parents insist on pulling their children back into the frustration and anger of their own divorce, it destroys that process. Worse still, it can create intolerable conflicts with the adolescent when they are asked to take sides.
So what am I supposed to do? Just ignore the truth? Their father doesn't fulfill his responsibilities?
Unfortunately, yes. Even when it seems difficult for you, you've got to remember that adolescents are primarily interested in themselves. They don't care who is to blame. They only want the reassurance that they are still loved. We owe it to our children not to enmesh them in adult affairs.
So keeping all that in mind, what could Judy have done differently?
Hey, my heart goes out to Judy. I understand how she feels, but she's got to ignore what her husband does or her ex-husband does to impress the kids.
I think Judy should write down all the issues, like the late child support, the lavish gifts, so she can discuss it in an organized manner without involving the children. I did that with my divorce, and it seemed to help me a lot.
Wait a minute. I mean, doesn't he deserve any credit? Don't you think he should deserve some kind of acknowledgement for what he's done? I mean, he is being a good parent to those kids.
It's important to focus on the positive. The fact that he sees his children and wants to be a dad is positive for them. If you help nurture that relationship, the children will be grateful to you in the long run.
I feel so alone and overwhelmed sometimes.
Well, after my divorce, and whenever I felt like I just couldn't take it anymore, I was ready to rip my hair out, I would call one of the single moms that I knew who went through the same thing. Maybe you could do that too.
It's an important idea. Finding a support group or an interested friend who will listen and who has a similar experience helps.
Now, let's review some of the important points we've discussed so far.
Number 1, don't make your children take sides. It's not fair to involve them in an adult conflict between their parents. Number 2, avoid using your children as messengers. Handle disagreements with ex-spouses directly. It might be helpful for you to write down a list of things to talk about. Try to acknowledge the positive things they do as well. Number 3, being a single parent is difficult and lonely. Talk to friends, get support where you can.
Given what we've talked about, would you like to try that scene again?
Great.
Okay, good.
Hey, Mom. Hi, sweetheart. Hi, Roger. How you doing? I'm wiped out.
Me too, but wow, do we have a great time. Dad took us to Disneyland.
Well, that's great, kids. I know how much you both love Disneyland.
And look, I got some new shoes too.
You needed new shoes, didn't you?
Dad's got a new girlfriend, Mom.
Oh? Did you like her?
Name's Kimberly. What a dork.
Do either of you feel like something to eat? I made your favorite soup.
Oh, thanks, Mom.
Why don't you go put your things in your room, then we'll eat.
Okay. Maybe later for me, Mom. We just had lunch. I better get started. I've got a ton of homework to do.
Well, if you need help later, let me know. Unless it's geometry.
So how did that feel?
Better, much better. The most important thing for me was not involving my kids in my problems with their father.
For me, too. I mean, I love you both, but since we live with Mom, she's the one that sometimes drives me nuts.
How about you, Roger?
I'm glad I got my new shoes.
Once again, it's important to remember that adolescents are mainly interested in themselves. Accepting that basic fact keeps everything in perspective.
Now let's go over some of the important ideas we've discussed so far.
Number 1, try to control your temper. Number 2, express anger at specific behavior directly and immediately. Number 3, present a united front. Number 4, avoid making your children take sides. Number 5, address disagreements directly with ex-spouse. Write down specific concerns. Number 6, get support from friends. These 6 points will help you adjust to living in a blended or divorced family. An excellent way to implement these new parenting skills with your teen is to keep a daily journal. Write down the issues in your family that provoke strong emotions and what you do to resolve the conflicts. Write down what you and your children do to adjust to living together. And write down how you nurture the relationships between your ex-spouse and your children.
Although sometimes it's hard to remember, adolescence will end. We hope we've provided you with some strategies and concrete suggestions that will help you and your children survive the teenage years.